Okay. Hi! Hello, how are you today? I'm doing perfectly great. And if you're wondering why this spoon is in my hand, it's because I'm gonna eat some soup while I tell you this great story. I just snorted. I am eating chicken tortilla soup. Oh my, like why does the microwave say it's done when the bowl is hot, but the soup is not? How does that work? Okay, hey people. If you don't know my name, then my name is Mikey, so now you know it. I thought I would do this story time. This story I have told quite a few people that know me, and it was a very big period in my lifetime, so I wanted to share it with the world and a bunch of strangers. Let me just talk to this camera. Let me get my soup, hopefully it's hot. And for anyone who is thinking of traveling to a place where they have malaria, as you read in the title, then just be careful, okay? As some of you guys may know, I'm from and I live in America. And we don't have malaria here. I went to Africa and I went to Kenya. And so let me just tell you what brought me to that country in the first place. I was going through, you know, life-changing times, and I had never traveled all the way across country by myself. So we looked up volunteer groups, international volunteer groups, where you can volunteer and fly over, and you just get your ticket, you get your plane ticket, you go to whatever country you choose, because they had like a whole list of volunteer opportunities in a bunch of different countries, and you meet the host family that you're supposed to stay with, which is cool, whatever. You've never met these people before, it's a whole new adventure. A lot of people do it. I don't know what I was thinking, but I was like,
you know what, if I'm gonna travel out the country, then I'm just gonna go to the furthest place I can.
Actually, you know, I'll be honest with you guys, when I was choosing my country, it was during this Black Power movement. People were getting shot by the cops. I wanted to feel really with my people, and I was like, I'm gonna go to one of these countries in Africa. I was like, you know what? Eeny, meeny, miny, mo, Kenya, here we go. I was traveling all alone as a volunteer with no friends, all by myself. My mother has pushed me to do this, and I just go balls deep into what I think is going to be a trip of a lifetime, which it was. My mom at the last minute when I was at the airport was like,
it's okay if you want to change your mind, you don't have to go.
and I was like, no, like,
no, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go.
and I was set to be there for a whole month. I was like, I'm gonna go on this trip to Africa. Now here's where it gets really, really fun. When I show up to the host house where I'm being kept at, it's a regular house. They've got like Americanized toilets and a running shower. It's a two-story place. Like, it's a nice place for where I was. The living is so drastically on the other spectrum of what I've ever known my whole entire life. It's so drastically changing that I actually did suffer from culture shock. I was crying every day that I was there. In my room, I would just cry. I was the only volunteer there, so it was just me and this the lady who had hosted me. I was so depressed. It was so scary. And things started to lighten up, because then, no, actually they didn't lighten up. They actually were really worse. They did not lighten up. When it comes to malaria, we don't have any anti-malaria shot that you can get to prevent you from getting malaria ever again. Either you don't take anything or you take pills. I had been taking them consecutively for the most part. As I'm very sad and crying and whatnot, when you're sleeping in some of these places, you have to have a mosquito net. Like, even at the house that I was at, the beds that I had were always had mosquito nets. You could hear the mosquitoes flying around your room at night. They really want your blood, okay? They are out for blood. The one day I had not missed my malaria pill taking except for
one day.
And that day, I remember exactly, I got bit because there was a mosquito in my room that I couldn't find, and that thing freaking got me. You know, oh gosh, I think it was literally the next morning. I'm just like, I don't feel well. My nose was stuffy. It was honestly like I got a cold. I was having allergies and my eyes were running, and I'm like, oh, I just have a cold, I just have a cold. At the time I was volunteering at an orphanage. There's 3 other girls that enter the house that come from, they came from Barcelona, so they flew over. They were all 3 friends. They came in the night that I had gotten bit. I was not feeling well. I was not feeling good. I was like, you know, I think it's just a cold. It's whatever. Like, I was kind of weak. I didn't really want to eat dinner, but we had to sit down and eat dinner, so I did. So then we sleep at night. I'm sweating. I know some of you guys have seen my past vlogs where my armpits are sweating, but imagine my bed sheets drenched. It looked like I went swimming. I was sweating in the night.
I thought I was having a heat stroke.
I was dying. Like, I was just so weak. So then the next day, the next morning, you know, the host mother comes in. She's like, do you think you can go to the orphanage? I, at this point, was laying in bed and I'm like, I can't move.
My muscles hurt.
I was so weak that I could barely walk 10 feet. I was just freaking dead. I'm like trying not to freak out, but here I am depressed, like going through this. I'm sick. I want my mom. I don't know anyone. I've got nothing. Like, it's just, it was a very, very crazy situation and nobody could get me out of it. I'm like sweating from the soup, but it's still good. Later that night, the host mother comes in. She's like, are you still feeling bad? And at this point, like, you can tell, like, my face is washed out. I'm just there. And she's like, get in the car right now. Like, you should have told me that it was this bad. You need to get in the car. We go to the pharmacy. Thankfully, the pharmacy lady was like, here, take this, this, and this, and gave me a bunch of pills. And I started getting better. They were like, you know, malaria to us is the common cold. And for you, it's death. Which it was. It honestly, I thought I was going to. So I ended up getting it. We still had to go to the hospital. I went to the hospital. They prescribed me some more pills, and thankfully I caught it at an early stage where I was okay at the end of the day, but I still get to say I got malaria, which is my own fault. I ended up still getting to go on a safari and seeing lions and hippos and zebras, and I made really great friends with the girls that ended up coming from Barcelona. They were just like so amazing. It was definitely an experience. If you ever go to a place with malaria and you have to take your malaria pills, do not miss a day, because when a mosquito bites, I was shivering. I was like, I was shaking. Like, I had shivers, I was sweating, I had like bed sweats, I couldn't move my muscles. I was like, yeah, I was freaking, I honestly was starting to see the light, okay? But then I didn't go to it. If you ever want to travel internationally, freaking do it. I was so scared and I was all alone and it was such a big move for me, but after that I really felt that I could get through anything. Apart from getting depressed and getting malaria, it actually was a really great trip and a great learning experience, and to help other people around the world was truly a blessing. I couldn't have asked for a different trip. I mean, I could have asked for a different trip, but it wasn't meant to be mine. That was my story. Honestly, in my head, it was kind of better, but it's the story, and I guess I did it. But if you like this video, then give it a big thumbs up. And subscribe if you haven't already. And I guess I'll be catching you next time. Bye!